Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, hi, I'm Debbie. I hope you'll stick around. So I started a new sketchbook not too long ago, and it was destined to be filled with cats because I decorated it with cat stickers to start with. So I've been drawing a lot of cats. And I was doing a sketchbook page a little while ago, and I ran across some amazing Pinterest photos of people putting their cats inside of socks. And this was, of course, hilarious. And so I had to make some sock cats. It just had to happen. Plus one cat in a mitten. Anyhow, I drew this with a Prismacolor Color Erase pencil in rose. That's my favorite. It's my go-to. And then I thought I would do a little bit of coloring in Procreate. And my intention with this was to do kind of like a painting plan and also to just have something to compare it to, like the painting versus a digital version. And I am setting up here in my Sta-Wet Palette, and this has become my go-to way of using gouache, whether it is regular gouache or acrylic gouache. For these little cats, I used a lot of acrylic gouache, and then I just mixed in regular gouache in there with the colors that I needed. And here I am selecting all these paintbrushes that I'm not going to use because I ended up using just two and mostly a round brush. I started off mixing like a line art color, and I had gone with sort of like a plummy color on the digital mock-ups. And I'm doing this because I follow Sibylline, I believe is how you say it, on Instagram, and she does all of her work in acrylic gouache. And I noticed watching her reels that she always does a pass with line art. Like basically she does her lines at the beginning and then she does her lines again at the end. And this seems like redundant and like a lot of work. But one of the things when you're doing like a cartoony style is that the line is so important. And it really bothers me when you lose the line work because it changes the drawing completely. So I thought I would follow the expert because she's amazing, and also she does this all the time. And so I decided to do the line art first as a guide, and that way I don't lose my lines while I'm painting. It worked out really well, actually, and I will definitely continue to do this in the future. A tip I can give you when you're doing line art, doing line work with a brush, is to warm up a little bit to get yourself loosened up, but also don't be afraid to move the paper around. It's kind of necessary in order to get the angles and the flow of the line. I had just come off of doing a bit of inking, so this moved pretty quickly for me. I like inking, so line work with a brush is kind of a comfortable place for me. Now, I'm fairly new to acrylic gouache. I haven't used it a ton. And if you're also unfamiliar with acrylic gouache, it's basically gouache, except it dries down permanently. So unlike normal gouache, if you add water to it, you can reactivate it. And that can sometimes become a bit of a tricky situation if you're layering colors, because then you have to be very careful in the consistency of the gouache as you're layering. Otherwise, you'll activate the layers underneath. So the benefit of acrylic gouache is that it behaves like acrylic, but only in the sense that it dries down permanently and you can't reactivate it. I wouldn't say it really acts like acrylic paint in any other way. It acts more like gouache while you're painting. I mention that because as I was starting, I realized, oh, I'm not going to really be able to do the kind of smooth transitions that I have in the digital mock-up version because gouache doesn't really behave that way, and you can get it to kind of blend if you water it down a bit, but it's not going to be seamless or airbrushy in the way that you can with acrylic, which has more like a plastic content, or oil that's more glidey. Anyhow, at the beginning here, I'm kind of frustrated with the fact that I'm not able to do what I want, and maybe you can see that, yeah, I'm frustrated, But then as I go along, I just kind of like give in to the quality of the gouache and just be like, I can't do that, but I can do something like it. And my solution was just to kind of do a more watery application as a base for those color transitions. But sometimes you just have to do a more kind of graphic color transition because that's how gouache works best, really. One of the benefits of doing a mock-up is that you take a lot of the thinking out of it and you can kind of get your colors sorted before you start so you won't make mistakes necessarily. Like you've already kind of decided your harmony of color. And I like that about it. And you basically just have to sort of paint by number, make sure you mix the right color, and it's pretty straightforward. So that's the plus side of going this route. But I would say there's also possibly a negative side. If you enjoy the spontaneity of mixing colors and having this kind of more active thought process in your color mixing, because that's kind of taken right out of the question, you know. And I must say I like both, but I do really get frustrated if I have something that I like the drawing of, I enjoy the drawing, and then I don't paint it nicely. So I do like this approach of planning a little bit because then it's more of a guarantee that you're going to get something closer to what you want, you know? I initially thought that I would use smaller angled brushes to do this, but it turned out that I mostly painted, actually I did. I painted the whole thing with a number 4 round brush just because it was easiest to do these shapes and the transitions that I wanted in the color. And then I also had a size 3 liner brush, which I have been enjoying a lot. I don't know what brand this is. If I figure that out, I'll put it down in the description. After I was done with the color laying, I went in again with another pass of the line work because most of it got covered in the painting process. And then I finished off with a few little pencil crayon passes here and there just to add a little bit of pizzazz. And that's kind of how I did it in the mock-up as well. After I finished the first one, I was going to quit, actually, because I thought it looked bad. But my husband came home for lunch and I showed him and he was like, no, that looks good. And I was like, really? But sometimes you need a second pair of eyes. And so I continued on and decided to finish this page. And this second little guy here is from imagination. So a few of these are reference from actual sock cats, images that I saw on Pinterest. But this guy was an imagining, and I really liked him, and I really liked the colors that I chose, and I really wanted to make sure I stuck to it. And I think I was able to really get pretty accurate to my mock-up, and that makes me very happy. There's something about this color combination. I think it's just some of the colors that I really like that vermilion red, and I am obsessed with greeny blues, and I really like a bright kind of chartreuse green, like a neon green. So it was just, you know, hitting all my happy spots, and I totally recommend that, to use colors that make you happy, because it'll keep you motivated, you know, and also it's fun, and why not? Maybe that's how you figure out your own color palettes too. I don't know if that's true, but I just enjoy these colors, and so they come up often, and I think that's fine. Taking a look at this now while I'm doing the voiceover, I wonder if the final result is influenced by the digital version. Like, I mean, it is a replica of it, but does it look more digital because of that? I don't know. Like, does it look less painterly and more digital, or digitally influenced, like the coloring style? I don't know. You let me know. So here you can see that kind of more watered down blending method that I was talking about. And if you move kind of slowly and patiently, you can achieve a more fluid blend. Sometimes it works better than other times, but it's doable. It's just you kind of have to do it in a watery way, and I don't know if it works so well with further layers, honestly. It's just not the medium for that, really. But I did achieve kind of a bit of a blend, so it's kind of doable. I really do think that the acrylic would be better to get smoother transitions. I haven't used acrylic in a really long time, like maybe not since high school. I use it when I'm doing craft stuff. In the winter months, I often like to paint on wooden ornaments. It's a hobby of mine. And so I use acrylic paint for that, but I haven't done an acrylic painting in a really, really long time. I am actually taking an illustration course on Domestika right now, and it is a fantasy acrylic painting course. And what I'm doing right now is trying to figure out what colors I need to complete my illustration. And I'm excited to try acrylics again. I think it's like the next step closer to oil. Maybe one day I'll get to oil. It intimidates me because I don't feel like I'm a good painter. So I feel like I have to work my way towards that because it's expensive, first of all. So acrylic is a lot cheaper and it moves faster, and I haven't used it in a long time, but I'm planning to try something soon. So I'll keep you posted. I've been designing stickers for so many years that I feel like everything that I draw is like a sticker. And I think that these would make cute stickers, honestly. But I'm trying to force myself to do a bit more complicated illustration, not just characters and not just like, I mean, it's a great design reference to have in your head to know what is graphically works as a sticker. But it's infiltrated my brain, and I'm trying to just release myself from the hold of it all. But I also enjoy it. So what do you think? Would it be a good sticker? I think it would be a good sticker. It'd be pretty cute on a sketchbook. I'm not gonna lie, the sky is my favorite, and I might print a sticker and show you guys. And unfortunately, my camera cut out for the last guy, so I don't have that footage. But it was kind of repetitive at that point. And I wanted to show you the paper that I used. It is also cat themed, surprise, surprise. And it is a Holbein watercolor paper pad. And these are the final little cat dudes, my sock cat dudes. Yay! I hope you like them, and I hope you enjoyed the video. And let me know if you'd like to see a part 2, because I do have a second page of cats, and I did paint them, and I did record it, so that can happen. Anyhow, thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you at the next video. Bye!